Hey guys, it's Jaco Awesome 12 here, and we are going to continue our mini series. And for this episode, we are going to be playing the game. And well, I'm not exactly going to play the game for you, but I am going to show you all the things that could happen in the game. So in the game there are 5 different phases in Magic the Gathering. First, you have your beginning step. Your beginning step in Magic the Gathering is when you draw and untap all of your cards. And so when a card is tapped like that, it signals that you cannot use it for whatever reason. And so your beginning step allows you to simply untap it. And that means to put the card upright again. And this signals that you can use it for whatever purpose. So also in the beginning step, you draw an additional card. In the beginning of the game, Magic the Gathering, the person who plays first cannot draw, but the person who goes second can take the first draw. After the first and second turns, everybody can go through the process of taking their additional card at the beginning of each turn. And so that's the beginning step. The second step is called the main phase, and the main phase is where you can play any cards from your hand with any mana that you have. Let's say you have 3 lands, which means let's say you had 3 lands out. Let's say you had an island, a woodland stream, and a forest right here. What would happen is and during this main phase, if these lands are, for example, untapped, you could play cards. You can play cards like Feral Prowler or Aerial Guide. If you have that mana untapped, you can play cards like these with the lands right here. And so in order to play these, what you do is you simply just tap the cards to signal that you're using them. I'm going to play Feral Prowler, for example. And then you put the card above it to signal that you've used it already. So that is playing a card, and that's the main phase. And then you have the combat phase. And the combat phase is simply just a phase where you can attack you choose to attack with all your creatures. When you attack, you tap your creature, signaling your opponent that you are going to attack. And your opponent can play any instant spells to respond to your attack. And he can also block the creature or creatures you're attacking with his own creatures if he wants to. And so damage happens in this game all at once. So let's say I had an Akron Sergeant, and this Akron Sergeant was attacking. Oh, actually, no. Okay, whatever. So let's say this Akron Sergeant did not have First Strike. Okay? Akron Sergeant does not have First Strike right now. What would happen is when Feral Prowler attacks, what will happen is damage happens all at once. So what would happen is 1 damage would be dealt to his toughness, and 2 damage would be dealt to his toughness. Which means that after the damage step, what would happen is he would become a 2/1, and he would become a 1/1. Because none of the creature's toughnesses were reduced to 0, none of the creatures are destroyed. But how the combat works is the toughness, the power here, goes after the toughness, and the power here goes after the toughness here. And it happens all at once unless you have First Strike. And First Strike, as I said in the video, allows the creature to attack first allows you to do damage first before the other creature does, which is good. So let's say this was attacking and it got blocked by a 2/2. It would destroy the 2/2 because it says First Strike and it deals the damage first. So that's the combat phase. And then after the combat phase, you have the main phase. And the main phase is simply just a phase where if you have any mana left to play, like for example, I used 2. I used an island and a woodland stream, so I have 1 green mana out. If I have any mana left for anything I could play from my hand, then I could use that mana, or I can save it for my opponent's turn if I have an instant in my hand. But after the main phase, there's the end step, and during the end step, your opponent can react to your end step by playing tap abilities or instants, and during your end step, what will happen to you is that all the toughnesses for all creatures you control and all toughnesses for all creatures your opponent controls will go back to its original. So this would be a 1/1, and that would be a 2/1 because of our combat damage, and now because it's the end step, it would go back to a 1/3, and this would go back to a 2/2. So those are all the phases in the game of your turn, and but I'm also going to show you the key things during the beginning of the game. Set my camera aside. During the beginning of the game, you'll shuffle your deck. And shuffling your deck is one of the main key things in the game Magic the Gathering. And you'll want to shuffle in many different ways. So this is me right here. My other hand's holding the camera, so I can't really shuffle. But what'll happen is, so you have your cards here, and there are different types of ways to shuffle. So you can shuffle by taking your cards, and a lot of people do this, and I don't know what the shuffle's called, but I like calling it meshing the cards. And it's essentially where you literally just put the cards together. And this is a really good type of shuffle to do if you really want to get a good hand. It's a really good shuffle, but a disclaimer would be to only use this shuffle if your cards are sleeved, because then what'll happen is you'll ruin your cards and you will mess up the 1 or 4 $2 lightning bolts you have in your deck. So just keep shuffling like that. And then afterwards, after you shuffle your deck, maybe your opponent will cut the deck, and it's where you give your opponent the deck, and I'm just gonna get all these cards away, and he'll simply just go like this. Ooh, one of the cards flipped over. Make sure that doesn't happen to you when you shuffle. But he'll just simply do that. And then you put your deck in the deck zone. I mean, there isn't exactly a deck zone, but you put it in the spot where you usually like having your Magic deck placed. And then what you'll do is you'll draw 7 cards. So I'm just going to draw 7 cards so that way you can visualize it. So what you'll do is you will draw 7 cards. As you can see here, I did not get a really good hand, and that's because, so a way to decide is if you have a really good hand is if you have too many spells in your hand and not that many lands, or if the cards in your hand cannot be played by the lands you have in your hand. So for example, there are 2 reasons why my hand is bad. It's because, number 1 is because I have a little amount of lands. I only have 2. And the other thing is that I can only out of those 2 lands I have in my hand, there's only 1 card I can play, and the rest of them are important. cards, and they cannot be played by using the lands that I have in my hand, which is not good. A good hand for me, I usually think of a good hand of, it's usually 4 or 3 spells. No, not 4 or 3 spells. It's usually 4 or 3 lands with 4 or 3 spells that you can play using the lands you have in your hand. That's usually what I think is the best hand. And I don't know if this is actually a thing, but in the game Magic the Gathering, I think that there are 3 different types of hands in Magic the Gathering. So the first hand is like the really crappy hand. And so that hand is like, you can't do anything. Like, the hand is really bad, and it's a hand you'll want to mulligan. It's really that bad. And then that's the first hand. That's the first type of hand. And then the second type is called a defending hand. And defending hand is like where you're not exactly winning, but you're not exactly losing either, but you're not having fun at the same time. So it's a good hand that keeps you in the game, but it's not fun to play because it's just not fun. And then the third hand is the fun hand, and the fun hand is usually the hand that gives you a really good game and it allows you to have fun when you play the game. That's the third hand. And now what we are going to do is I'm going to show you spin down life counters. So in the game Magic the Gathering, you always start out with 20 life. And a really unique way Magic the Gathering allows us to keep our life is by using these dice. But in the Magic universe, we call them spin down life counters. And what we do is we set them down, and then the spot that's facing up would be how much life we have. So this is facing this symbol, which represents 20 is facing up, which means I have 20 life right now. I rotate it, 19 is facing up, which means I have 19 life now. And so how to work this thing is, let's say someone attacked me for 2 damage and I took it. So the way you would work this, sorry, it's just the camera. Okay, so the way you would work this thing is just by, like, I took 2 damage, so the way you would work this thing is you just rotate it by the number of times you took damage. So I took damage twice, so I'd rotate it twice. Now 18 is facing up, and you can also just do the math. 20 minus 2 equals 18, so that's 18. And then, yeah, that's sort of how this life counter thing, this spin down life counter works. And next we have, I'm going to discuss how you play instance in response to what your opponent is doing. So just give me a moment while I will set up a situation where, while I set up a really good situation where instants help in the game. So let's say this Feral Prowler had a Cartouche of Knowledge, and Cartouche of Knowledge, when it enters the battlefield, draw a card, and the enchanted creature gets 1/1 in flying. So, which means that this card is now a 2/4. And I control the Akram Sergeant. And now, what I do is I control, in my hand, I control the card Unsummon. All of his mana that he has out currently is tapped. But I have 2. But I have 2 mana. See, this is the situation, but I have 2 mana that is tapped. And my opponent does not have any cards in his hand. That's the situation. And what will happen is, so I have this card, it's an instant called Unsummon. It allows you to return target creature to its owner's hand. So what I could do is I could attack. And then if this flying creature chose to block, what I could do in response to him blocking, I could tap 1 blue mana, because that's how much it costs to play. And then what I can do is I can play the spell, return target creature to its owner's hand, and then your opponent, because he understands with the sequence, he will take his card and return it to his hand. And that enchantment will go to the graveyard, so it's good. You'll return the creature to the hand, and in that same sequence, you will destroy that enchantment he played. Now, I'm going to show you the last part of the video. I am just going to sort of show you how to play a spell. And so this is really easy. And so, okay, I have 2 mana out currently, and I have a Feral Prowler. So this Feral Prowler costs 1 green mana and 1 mana of your choice. So to play it, I have to tap 1 green mana and 1 mana of my choice, and that could be blue, red, another green. It could be black, it could be anything, but I have blue in this situation. So I'm going to tap it, and after you have all your lands tapped for the card you're going to play, you just put it out. And there. Now you have a card played. And a creature, when it's first played, suffers from Summoning Sickness. And Summoning Sickness is an ability that prevents the creature from using its tap abilities if it has any, but most importantly, it prevents it from attacking on the first turn it's played, because then it would just make it OP. I'm just going to zooming in on my Feral Prowler. Now it's getting blurry. It's getting blurry. But, yeah, guys, that's it for learning how to play Magic. Put in the comment section below if give me more Magic ideas on what to do. If you want any more deck builds like the first video we made, or you want more Minecraft videos, you want more Roblox videos. If you want a collab video with me and 88 Keys playing Roblox, a jailbreak Roblox, I'd be happy to do that at some point when I'm available. And, I don't know, just give me a few ideas about Magic the Gathering and what I should do next. I'll probably figure out something myself, but I'm going to need the help. So, put in the comments, so I want you to like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. And give me those ideas, guys. Give me some ideas, Rainbow Army. And I will see you later. I'll see you in the next one.